Well, that's the only one I was thinking of.
Okay.
There's, I mean, so many memories of mom. You could go on for years. But the biggest memory, I guess, is when Cindy phoned me. She was crying and she said that she'd found mom. So I went over there and there was a police officer standing there and everything. And I asked her, could I go inside the bedroom? She said, yes, go ahead. So I went in there. And I don't know if anybody knows it, but mom was just lying there with her eyes closed. She looked like she was sleeping and she just fell asleep. Bed covers weren't moved or anything. So I thought to myself, what a nice way to go. Just go to sleep. But that's, think about memories of mom. I mean, like I say, there's so darn many of them. Her driving me to Moose Jaw every day when I was 18 to get, no, 16 or 17 to get my apprenticeship. She didn't have to, she had. I mean, so many things, but just leave it at that. Yeah, me and Dad, like I started working with Dad when I was, 14, I guess. I'd work in the summertime with Dad. And on one story, I remember we all, after work, we were working for Sunco Oil. And after work, we all went into the bar, and I said to my dad, well, no, I'm only 14 or whatever, the age limit was 21, I can't get a drink there. So he says, you're coming in. So I went in, sat down. Sure enough, the bartender came up and said, I'm sorry, he's going to have to leave. And my dad said, he's old enough to work with us, he's old enough to drink with us. And the bartender says, no, I can't serve him. So I stood up, and so did 15 other guys, and started walking out. Never had a problem drinking in that bar again. And that's about it. I mean, I'm a private person. I'll keep my memories to myself.
It's really hard to pick a couple moments in history of a person's life as your best memories of them. For Dad, I have three memories that stand out the most. One was the first one when we were very, very young. He built his swing sets for us, and it was like the swing sets that you have in the playgrounds. They were big, and he built them and welded them together and brought them to, I think it was 1450 McDonald Street when I first remember him, but we had them before that. And he set them up there, and we had spent hours and hours on those swings. The second one was Dad loved to go to Brown's Auction. We were living at, we just moved into 1809 Regent Street, and the basement wasn't developed. Well, of course, Dad went up to Brown's Auction on a Saturday night and picked up a big box. Didn't know what was in the box, what he was betting on. But Dad, being a gambler, betted on this box and happened to get it. Brought this box home, opened it up, and to our delight, there were about 10 pairs of old-fashioned roller skates. With the basement being undeveloped, we spent hours and hours and hours on those roller skates. We virtually wore the cement down. The last memory, and I think this is the best one, is when Dad loved to play cards. He was a classic gambler. He loved to play cards. And in the wintertime when he wasn't working, we would get together. It was usually Mom, Dad, Walter, Iris, and me, and we would play, I think it was called Rook. It's a game like whist where you deal out all the cards and there's a few left over, and that's called a messy. Dad had to have that messy. He would go around the table and everybody was bet, and Dad would always make sure he won the bet. Why? Not because he had a good hand, because he wanted to see what was in the messy. And you just dreaded, because he picked up the messy, he'd call his trump. Well, first of all, he'd call his trump. And if you happened to have the ace of spades and he called spades, you knew you were going to lose. So he'd pick up the messy and then go on and play. And of course, if he lost, you lost. But we spent many, many, many nights playing Rook. I believe it was Rook. Many, many nights. It got to a point where it was just, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Please don't ask for the ace of spades. Please don't ask for the queen of clubs. But he did, and we played, and those memories are very, very special. For Mom, well, Mom's different. Mom was around for a long time. But I think the 2 or 3 best memories I have of Mom was, well, first of all, when we took her to It's called Scrap and Spa. We went to a place, we went to Banff, we drove there, spent the night in Medicine Hat. She absolutely loved it. She had a great time in Medicine Hat. Then from Medicine Hat, we drove to Banff, and we spent the weekend scrapbooking. I didn't get any scrapbooking done because Mom basically had me by her side cutting pictures and doing things like that. But she just had a wonderful time. We went out for supper. We just enjoyed ourselves. The next time, trying to get Mom out of the house was like pulling teeth. So what we did was we kind of kidnapped her. Cindy picked her up, telling her she was going to go for lunch. In the meantime, we had made arrangements to reservations in Moose Jaw Temple Gardens, and we all went out to Temple Gardens, and then we went out to Hopkins for supper. And she was thinking she was just going out for lunch, but Cindy drove her to Moose Jaw. When she got there, she said, no, I'm going home. Well, as it turned out, she didn't go home. She decided she wasn't going to stay. But I had canceled our room and just got a smaller room for me and Iris because I thought it would just be the two of us. Well, Mom stayed, and poor Iris had to sleep on a cot on the floor. But Mom loved that weekend, and she spoke about it so often. And always said, why don't we do this more? Why don't we do this more? Well, we don't do it more because getting Mom to leave the house was like pulling teeth. Those two memories are probably the best time I ever had with Mom. I miss her. I miss her a lot. Don't know. I know she'd be almost 100 years old now. But she was a good mom in so many ways. We always had food. We were always taken care of. We were very lucky. We were very fortunate to have a mother like Mom.
When I was 16, my father gave me a 1963 Biscayne to drive to school with. So I would drive to high school. I would pick up 5 or 6 kids in the neighborhood, and we would all drive to school, and they would give me $1 a week for gas. I also used that car for fun, of course, like any other teenager would. I remember one night, my friends and I were sitting at the A&W in Regina's North Albert. It was a drive-in where you parked your car and pressed the button on the kiosk, and they would bring you whatever you wanted from the store. So we were sitting there all night, listening to my radio and just having a great time. At about 1 a.m, the A&W closed, or was closing, and I went to start the car, and the battery was dead. I didn't know what to do. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, I called my dad, and I told him what was going on, and he drove. In the middle of the night, he drove to where we were parked, and he took out his booster cables, boosted my car, and then he just drove home. I expected to be punished, him to be angry, but he wasn't. He treated me with respect, and he gave me the boost, and that's a wonderful memory I'll always have of my dad. I was a very young mom when Diana was born. She was born in the Regina General Hospital. At that time, the medical community was actively encouraging young mothers to feed their baby with formula. They didn't want mothers nursing for some reason. But I was moving back to the Northwest Territories where you couldn't get formula. And the only thing you could feed them outside of mother's milk was carnation evaporated milk. So the nursing staff there were actively feeding my little baby formula before they would bring her to me to nurse. And I didn't know how to nurse. I didn't know what was going on. When my mother found out, she was furious. She yelled at the nursing staff, she yelled at the doctor, she yelled at the head nurse, and she was there to show me how to nurse and to make sure that they brought a hungry baby to me so that I learned how to nurse, and my baby learned how to nurse as well. If it hadn't been for my mother, I don't know what would have happened. She would have been on carnation evaporated milk and become a fat blob because mother's milk is obviously better. Thank you.
There we go.
Okay, I'd like to start by quoting a ancient Hebrew saying, and it is that a man does not become a man until his dad dies. And I think that's very, very true for the case of Walter. When Dad died, Walter became a man. But in my case, when Mom died, I became a man. So that's just an opening thought. My earliest memory of my mom was on when we were visiting Moshe and Benika in Roblin. And I must have been no more than 8 months old because I wasn't crawling yet. I was just able to sit up. And I can remember sitting on the floor and Benika and Mom were sitting at the kitchen table, and Benika opened a Sears catalog and showed me pictures of babies. I can remember that. So that's the earliest memory I have of my mother. For my dad, it's a little bit different because he was gone quite a bit. But I can remember when he bought a color TV to watch the Grey Cup game. And we were like, well, I was, but I think everybody in the family was excited that we were getting this color TV. But he just got it for the day just so he can watch the Grey Cup game in color. He took it back the next day. It was very disappointing. And then all the trips that we took to Roblin during Christmas especially, but also Easter, but mostly Christmas was very different way of life than in the city. I think that's about all I can.
From Blue to Regina, they packed their dreams. 5 children held tight, in our hearts they gleam. With hands so hard working, they carved our way. Generosity and love in every single day. Oh, Sadie and John, you built us strong. Through hardships and trials, we carried on. In love and memory, we stand so tall. For your legacy of love united us all. Sadie's kitchen was love, where meals were made. John worked long and hard, never afraid. With little money, they raised us true. From the farm to the city, we always knew. Oh, Sadie and John, you built us strong. Through hardships and trials, we carried on. In love and memory, we stand so tall. For your legacy of love united us all. With travels and dreams and family close, we cherish the moments we miss the most. Grandchildren born, great grandchildren too. Harmony and love, dreams fulfilled through you. Oh, Sadie and John, you built us strong. Through hardships and trials, we carried on. In love and memory, we stand so tall. For your legacy of love united us all. For your legacy of love united us all. From Blue to Regina, they packed their dreams. From Blue Wing to Regina, we made our stand. Hand in hand we faced the world in this new land. Hard times came, but love was our goal. In a house full of laughter, tales were told. Sadie and John, in every heart you reside. In memories, your spirit will never hide. The legacy of love, the cornerstone of all. In our family's harmony, we hear your call. John worked away, but his love never faded. Sadie cooked with heart, every meal so sacred. From 5 children grew a tree so wide, with grandchildren and great-grandkids by our side. Sadie and John, in every heart you reside. In memories, your spirit will never hide. The legacy of love, the cornerstone of all. In our family's harmony, we hear your call.
So a video about my dad. He used to call me Cynthia. He would always bring me home leftovers out of his lunch pail. I used to sit and water the trees with him in the front yard. And he'd let me have as much Coke to drink as I wanted. A video about my mom. Well, there's lots to say. Good memories. I remember making homebrew with her, going to the store and collecting all of the things we need at a little corner grocery store. And everybody knew by the amount of sugar and yeast that I had on the cart what we were making. Getting home, making homebrew, I was 9 months pregnant, and Mom's videotaping, and she's getting me, I'm 9 months pregnant with Shasta, and she's got this all on tape. Nothing like being a hillbilly. Another video about my mom. My mom, Aunt Mariette, my brother Jim and I, we all packed up, went on a road trip. We went to Kokomo, Indiana to see these people that would always come up to Canada. Well, they were a little bit different, but when we got there, we found out what different really was. If you don't know the story, ask me. Well, I'll tell you. It was quite the story. Quite the trip, but memorable at that.
From Blue Wing to we took that leap. 5 children grew in love so deep. Through every storm and every side, you were the strength that made us try. Sadie and John, your love so strong, built a family where we belong. Now we gather memories we share. In our hearts, you both are there. Working hard with hands so kind, generous hearts and loving minds. Cooking meals and travel dreams, family first or so it seems. Sadie and John, your love so strong, build a family where we belong. Now we gather memories we share. In our hearts, you both are there. Working hard with hands so kind, generous hearts and loving minds. Cooking meals and travel dreams, family first or so it seems. Sadie and John, your love so strong, build a family where we belong. Now we gather memories we share. In our hearts, you both are there.